Recording on this computer now.
You have power.
I've been granted privileges.
Yes, we all have been granted a lot of privileges.
True.
How are you?
For some reason, last night I only got 3 hours sleep. I couldn't get back to sleep after 2 o'clock in the morning. So,
Were you excited?
Usually I don't have that problem. The more I get into asana, the more I put into asana, the more I realize what I have to do is about this long. So it's both a good and a bad thing that it's in asana.
Totally. Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Let's see, there's not a lot of people that have joined there. I think Aaron joined and you joined, and I've sent invitations to all the regular suspects. So not many others.
I wonder if we weave some of our organizing directly onto the Facebook page. So post for people to join there.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And by the way, in order to get my own head straight, I was trying to create a how-to document. So I think somewhere either in general or in collaborology or in onboarding, I forget exactly where, but there's a how-to document that says, how do we do the following? How do we do the following? And obviously it's just a very bare start. But that I think could help us say, oh, if we're going to do one thing, this is the current practice and we can change it, but that's how it's currently being done.
Yeah.
And hopefully then we can get more transparent and explicit and all be of one mind.
Yes.
One understanding that way.
Awesome. I love that. I know I certainly have some things that I want to put there, but I'll be honest, my time is just really pushed.
No, remember, everybody understands that between now and the 15th, you're your election boss, so it's going to go there.
Well, I'm not boss, but
I'm just tweaking you with these words.
See how it works? It's like, that's good.
I love Dictopedia. I love language. The first verse of the Tao Te Ching is that which can be named is not that, So names just are approximations, and we use approximations and confuse ourselves and confuse other people. And the fewer words in my mind, the better. But that's now I'm being hypocritical by speaking.
Oh, man. Yes.
Let's see. So I actually did spend almost the entire morning yesterday doing how to try to get people onto asana, doing this, doing that, and following up on various different threads. Still trying to flesh out the matrix. Still trying to finish all the recommendations from the 8 artifacts. So the next time we actually have a group get together, I would be in fear of monopolizing it with so many, suggested operations, but we'll take it a step at a time.
I wonder, Sam, if you ask a couple of people to hold space for you while you share your work in Zoom.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Because that is this point, right? Is to be able to share it as a full person, not just take it into those words that we know are only brief approximations, but then you can have the real-time curiosity that helps to unpack it for you. And I'm going to these 2 people, 3 would be amazing. So that you can, and just frame it such that you're looking for 2 or 1 or 2 or 3 people who you can share your work with.
That's an excellent suggestion.
Yeah.
I'll formulate that and send that.
Yeah. And then we can, and that those are the pieces that I think that can help us all to come onto the same page. Then we can have that to talk about, right? I agree with Sam with this. I don't see how everyone's going to get on asana, these things that come up for people, right?
Right.
Because those barriers are really important too.
Right. Those barriers are the key to collaboration.
Yes.
The other stuff is the easy part.
Yes.
By the way, was I mistaken in thinking that Anna was going to join us at this time?
She said that she was going to, but I wonder if, things came up, or she may be still coming.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I was late myself. I understand.
Life happens.
Much life. Much life. Okay, so other than spending some of the time there, this morning I haven't really done much more than I did yesterday. Um, but I'm open to suggestions like this one that you just gave me about how to best proceed. So I think that's a good one. Keep them coming if you've got more.
Yes. And Sam, how are you?
There was a comment that my dad made to my daughter yesterday that's still stuck in my mind. And it's consistent with the decision that he made to not stay here in Washington. He told my 14-year-old daughter that he thought this house was costing me too much and that I couldn't afford it. So I thought that was a curious thing for my dad to bring up with my 14-year-old daughter and not bring it up with me directly. So anyway, that was an odd thing that I've been puzzling over. Regardless of whether it's true or not, just the way the communication was delivered was kind of odd.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you feel comfortable being really direct with your dad?
I have been, and I invite him to be. When he made his decision about whether or not to stay or move, he didn't really have a conversation with me. It was after probably a week or two of very small, almost snide remarks, And then when he actually made a decision, I said, would you like to talk about it? Because all of the reasons for which you actually decided to move here haven't happened yet. At that time, Veronica hadn't moved in yet. My mom hadn't moved in yet. The, various repairs hadn't been completed yet. So it just seemed odd that he didn't really give it a chance to really come about. And all he saw were the inconveniences without the plus side of the decision. And then he very quickly, like within 2 days, decided to move to Hawaii. Now, this place, he actually visited me for a week before he spent months deciding to move up here. The Hawaii place, he has not visited at all. And now he's committed to going there, and he's ordered the moving company and he's packing and he's going there, not having visited whatsoever. So I think my dad is making some rash decisions that surprised me. I thought he was actually more considered in his decision-making process. But I've just tried to do whatever I can to make him comfortable and happy here. And if it's not enough, then I think I've actually tried as much as I can to make him happy here.
Can I do a little reflection?
Please.
On what you've shared? I guess first I'll start with, if you can model a very direct way of communicating with your dad.
Oh, that's right. That was your question. Yes.
Yeah. If you can model that by doing that, really clear and direct, whatever way you want to say it, but Dad, I found it really kind of interesting and challenging, and a little challenging, or whatever way you want to say it, that you said to Veronica that you didn't think that I would be that you thought I was paying too much for the place. And I just want to really have a direct conversation with you about that, because it hurt my feelings. It, come from your heart, Sam. And I mean, because the thing is that you listen back to this, and after you shared the original part, after that, you went on to say a bunch of assumptions about what is like, hi Gertraud, we're just in the midst of a thought point. Welcome. And there's I'm curious because there's storytelling, we say, right?
Yes.
So, but if you can be just really direct with your dad and say from your heart what you feel and what you've been experiencing, that can kind of undo some of this storytelling, because he's done storytelling and then he wasn't able to be direct with you. And now these things are progressing.
And I've learned that, yes.
Yes. And so, in all you can do is change your own behavior.
Yep.
And so if you can just have those direct conversations and just be really clear in yourself in terms of how you actually feel, without judgment, right? Because there's parts of that story where you're judging how he's making his decisions. So deeply consider that in terms of you showing up how you want to show up in that relationship. And, you know, we learn from each other and we grow. And this is, you know, the primary relationships in our family constellations are the ones that have the most richness. And so I just encourage you to just be direct, honest.
I really appreciate that because it is very on point. It is very constructive. I feel that you care. And it's exactly the kind of interaction I was hinting at when I came up with the COI practices. So you're doing that. You're adopting that practice. And I recognize that. And I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Welcome, Gertraud.
Hi, Gertraud.
Hi. I didn't, we have our 4th of July today. So we changed our holiday to the 3rd of October. It was the reunion of Germany. So this is today.
Ah.
And so I didn't get anything. It's holiday today. But I saw you and I thought, yeah, well, I might just jump in.
Just out of curiosity, how is it celebrated?
Completely differently. I mean, we were quietly at home. We don't have parades and things like that. But, well, there are big speeches of our president, our chancellor, and yeah, so thinking of what happened.
But it's
and
not a big
gratitude that it was a very peaceful revolution. Nobody died. It was really,
yeah.
Could have been different. I mean, the tanks were ready.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've seen Las Vegas, so. Wait a sec. Rolf, hast du das Buch dabei? Danke. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now that we're all here, yeah, I'd love for us to just carry on with that check-in. So how
Sure.
are you, Gertraud?
I'm fine. I was just very shocked to get the news, and yeah. I mean, for us Europeans, it's so incredible that it's possible that somebody could just buy automatic or half-automatic things, guns or so. It's just, you're flabbergasted that it's possible like that. So being evil is one thing, and wanting to make big deeds, but having the opportunity and having 20 or something in his room, yeah, it's just very shocking and unbelievable that this could happen. So I don't know, my state of mind in this. I try to send healing energy there and just connect and feel what's necessary.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, but on our part, it's great. It's good. Everything is fine.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Gertraud. And I've had it in the periphery of my field because I've just been so busy with other things. But I feel like there's this dark story that's been unfolding, and that took a turn last fall when the American election happened. And that part of what we're seeing is the madness of our situation. and that it is a collective situation. And yeah, go ahead, Gertraud.
No, I just wanted to say, we just had our election and there were 13% Trumpians. Never happened that they came to, we have a 5% clause that they only above 5% parties can come to our parliament, and 96 people, 13% of the electorate voted for them. It's like, yeah, it's as if bad creatures come out into the light.
What do you mean Trumpian? Is it
nationalists, supremacists, people like that? They don't want any refugee in the country. They think there is something like German, I don't know, genetics or culture, as if that was something that at one time they thought it was German, and then you have to preserve it over time. I mean, Germany is in the middle of Europe. The whole history is wars and refugees from East and West. I mean, there is no such thing than a German heritage in a way that it's just us, pure culture. But they think they can, and these are the people that feel leftovers after the reunion. So they didn't get what they wanted out of the reunion, and so they are, yeah. So, and the ones that came from Russia, the Germans that came from Russia, they are more, like, we are the Germans and the real supremacists. They can hardly talk German sometimes, and they want the refugees out. And they were refugees themselves, but German heritage. So I just, sometimes I'm just,
yeah,
can hardly believe how those people tick, but we have to deal with it.
Yeah, and we are it.
Yeah, sure.
I sit over here as a so-called Canadian citizen. My last name is German. I'm a mutt, right? But Meyer my family name is German.
Mm-hmm. Hahn is German too.
I was about to say my family name was German.
Yeah.
Is it?
Hahn is
Rooster.
Rooster, yeah.
Auf Deutsch.
Auf Deutsch.
Auf Deutsch. Of course, it's a transliteration of a Chinese character, but when you add the H in there, it looks like a German name. Yes. So I often joke around about my cousin Otto.
Yeah.
So anyway, just to shift the energy a little bit, I think that for me, it's about telling a better story. It's about being honest about these things that we see and how it lands on us, but also, I think that's what's missing in our world, is that we're being shown these things that are horrific, and it weighs on us, and it takes away our ability to respond because we're overwhelmed. And so for me, this, part of what we need to do is we need to appreciate each other, look at each other, see each other's work and the steps that we're taking to progress the transition of systems and the places where we can see that help is needed, because that inspires. And people, the power of inspiration over the power of the shock and awe of our media landscape, there's no competition, actually. So when we actually create windows into hope. This I think is the kind of investment that we need to make in each other and the world. And so, you know, when I see and feel what's happening in the world, I know we're better. I know we are better than that. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to stand up and say, you know, I'm a good person. Why is that? Why is that hard? You know? And so I just really would love to see this group hold space for each other to share the better that we are capable of and that we yearn to do.
I would like to share. I just pop in. I don't even know what you want to, what your intention was to come together. So I don't know if I'm just off track. So maybe you tell me first before I.
You drive the boat, Gertraud. It's co-leadership. It's, you know what to say.
Okay. I would like to share a moment when the Iraq war was over and they found Saddam Hussein. And I did some meditation, and all of a sudden I had that feeling, this is also me. I could feel that some part of me, so like the monks that say, I'm not done with this world unless the last one has reached that point. So I'm still connecting. It was such a big, it was not shocking. It was like, this is in all of us. And there is one person that personified it. But so knowing that I'm human with all ranges of feelings and possibilities, and not think he is less human than I am, but he behaves unhuman, or he did, and to know that what you just said is a choice. I mean, we have that all, and in this moment it was so clear. I do have the capacity of being mean as well, but I can choose every minute who I want to be, and where I want to go, and what I want to put my focus on.
Yes.
Not because I'm a better person, but because I can make better decisions.
Mm. Yes. Thank you, Gertraud.
I think the whole industry called the media has been a hand of power structures. And it's even more evident lately because they peddle fear and we don't get to see the good stories that are out there. You know, it used to be we just walk up and down our neighborhoods. We know the friends, you know, they're going to picnics, you know, they're helping their communities, they're going to schools. The good stories don't make the news. But what gets published are when people die or when somebody says something outrageous or a war starts, you know, that's what they want to sell us. That's what they want our attention to turn to. So I think, Tammy, you are spot on correct that a different story needs to be told everywhere. Because there's 99.999% of us that are really leading productive lives, loving each other, loving our communities, trying to make the world a better place. But there's a sociopathic, psychopathic 0.001 or whatever percentage is that's going around trying to create these acts of destruction. I have no idea what motivates them. But that's what the news wants us to focus on. And that's peddling fear. And that's not going to achieve the noosphere, the environment that's going to create that new society. It's going to keep us slaves to the powers that be because they can protect us. They promise to protect us. So we better give them our money. We better give them our time and attention and, you know, all the rights and privileges. That's the story. We got to get away from that story.
So I'd like to weave a little bit between what you've both shared, because Gertraud, thank you for sharing that part of what it is to really feel that we are the same as each other, and these pain bodies that exist and how people express, you know, I never say his name, but Donald Trump is also a human being who is holding a certain vibration of humanity right now. And I think it is important for us to realize that we all have those, you know, the we in us means that there are all of these pieces where we're not quite perfect yet or whatever. And I just really, and I guess I also, when you were speaking, Sam, I wanted to ask, who is they? In the context of the we that Gertraud was sharing, where Gertraud was sharing from, there's also this narrative of they. And who are they? And I question if there is a they, or maybe I put my finger on that's one of our deeper challenges, is this othering that is part of what we do. And as Gertraud was sharing, there's a deeper truth than that in the we are all a part of a unified field of humanity that is transforming and growing. And yeah, so I question that they, even though I know that there's truth in that, just as there's truth in everything. And I think that a turning towards the we is in demonstrable ways that are maybe difficult to articulate, but that Gertraud just did so beautifully, to be able to understand where we come together and what we have co-responsibility for.
Yeah, and I think demonizing people we don't like, or like Trump or whomever, is part of this ongoing narrative of enemies back and forth. So talking about what's not working is okay, but not diminishing and demonizing the people that conduct it.
Yes.
And I think that's an important part. And I'm doing quantum healing, and every 2 weeks we meet with 3 women. And last time we just thought, how can we deal with these things? We want to make a difference in the world. We want to send that healing energy also to places like Las Vegas or wherever. And then we came up with not sending something against what we don't like, but to support those powers, those people who are in the world to transform the world, to support them and really have that field expanding. And one of us, she said, we had this column from heaven to earth, and just the archangels around, and you know, like really have a big strong connection to each other. And then one of us, she saw this like little sparks and then connecting, and then it was spreading all over the world. It was really like feeling as if this strengthening what needs to be strengthened, and not watering the weeds. That was really a very powerful thing, to strengthen the people that want to transform the world, that do what's necessary.
Mm. Thank you.
So I could be odd one. I could be the one who does not understand, because I really don't understand.
What?
To me, it is very clear that the world does not need transforming. The world does not need saving. The world does not need any cause for us. And neither does the human race, to the most part, or the species. But there is an element, I believe it's a relatively small element, that has gotten sick. So we can talk about loving their life, loving their spirit, but their sickness is causing massive damage to the rest of the species, and then to the planet. Now, the good news is the planet is still going to be around. It's going to survive whatever we throw at it. We may not, but the planet will. And the spiders will, and the caterpillars will, and the ants will. But maybe not the lions and the tigers. So to me, it's getting back to your story, Tammy, about what the most of us are trying to do, trying to live convivial lives, trying to share and support and love each other. There's the element, though, that loves power. There's the element that loves to, enslave others. And I'm not necessarily going to call them evil. I'm not going to demonize them, but that is behavior that is causing some psychopathic effects. And that, I think, to me, is what gets me angry. And I let myself be angry in the sense that Abraham Lincoln says it's okay to be angry. His quote is, I guess something about what you can tell the character of a man by what he gets angry at, or what he allows himself to get angry at. So it's not a pure Buddhist life. It's a more Abraham Lincoln-ish kind of a life. And I do think that it's a relatively small element. But if we are to come up with models of governance, no model of governance can assume that all people are trying to do good in any kind of commonly held sense of good. Now, the people that are actually trying to kill a lot of us may think that they're trying to do good, but it's a pretty extreme notion of what good means. So I think that what we need is a way to, I hate to say this word, it's a really unfortunate word to use, but protect the life of most of humanity against the psychopathic and sociopathic. And that, unfortunately, is what's needed. Unless you can just love them out of it. We haven't figured out how to do that yet. We haven't figured out how to surround these people and just love the heck out of them so that it just drives them out of that psychopathic behavior. We're not that Ubuntu African village yet. We've lost that sense. So I don't have a solution, but I'd rather characterize it in terms of most of the rest of us really are trying to do good. It's a small, very small group of people who are trying to play the game in such a way that almost everyone else suffers. And that's what we have to figure out, hopefully together.
I don't think that I'm far away from that. For me, it's like strengthening the immune system. What I was talking about, to strengthen the good part, to fight or set boundaries for what those people.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the immune system is a good metaphor.
And I mean, just in terms of, change, and in terms of how you kind of started with your provocative intro there, Sam, that, you know, the world is going to be fine, da 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 da. I guess what I would say to that is that I feel like we all know that our systems are not working, and that there are some shifts that we can make in terms of systemic change. And many of the people that I know are working at various stages of that, whether it's inside the person or whether they're working in communities or whether they're looking to support policy change in terms of legislation and that sort of thing. And we all know that the thing's not perfect, right? And so I think that having frank conversations about specifically and exactly what is happening, observe, have a look at what is going on, to be able to come into resonance with our language and what we mean when we say that word and all of those parts. These are ways for us to come into alignment so that we understand that the words may separate us, but that the intent and the energy that we're feeling is the same. And I feel that yeah, you know, I guess I worry in how you began your conversation, your piece that you shared, that there's nothing for us to do. There's things for us to do.
That was not the implication.
Yes.
And yes, I was intentionally provocative. Yes.
Of course, it's great.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And yes, I do believe that there are people who are pulling the strings behind the scenes and pulling them very well.
And we can do a better job. This is what I'm saying. We could do a better job. And I think if we demonstrate that in our small groups, in bringing together our collective intelligence and in communication and sharing, that these are things that we can all take, test, do, work with, learn from, and do better next time.
Absolutely. I do agree. But the tools that we need to develop and the methods we need to develop need a few more iterations.
Well, okay, so in terms of this segment that we're creating, I think this one is a really, it's, you know, I do kind of just, for me, how I have been sort of facilitating is being present and being with what is right in front of me as best that I can, because I don't feel that I hold a lot of power just by being present here and listening. And I want to be able to demonstrate and show and experience what the sharing of power is. So that's for a start. So I always want people to come in and say, hey, I want this. I want to talk about this. And that is welcomed, because that emergent state of us being in our natural intelligence in connection with each other, I think is a powerful practice that can give us the tools that we need to be able to do this well. So, you know, this conversation has woven in a bunch of different places because of that looseness of intention, in a sense. However, we've gotten to one of our key pieces that I think we all need to talk about, which is our context. What is happening today? What is the state of the world today? What are the world's global challenges? You know, so we've touched on that today, and how beautifully Gertraud brought it in by, you know, what happened, starting with what happened in Las Vegas. And really, like, these things are this is the information that we are swimming in our daily lives. And we have to be able to talk about it and then look deeper and what's underneath that. And further, what do we bring and what can we do?
I think one of the tools, everyday tools we have, is asking questions that bring about what's working and not what's not working. So we can look at whatever there is and then ask, like what's the gift in it? What do you appreciate yourself for, whatever that might be. So the way we ask questions, I think, will change how the conversation goes. We had a board member who had, in 3 daughter firms, had to be there every month once. And he said, I was like the Jerusalem grievance wall. I don't know what the official name is, but when I come somewhere and people say, oh, that's not working, that's not working, that's not working. And he did a training with us, and then the next time we came together, he said, last time I was in this particular subsidiary, and so people were just complaining. And then he said, before I thought it was part of my job, but then I realized, no, it's not. Listening, yes, but before I ask the questions. And so he said, okay, and what was working in the last month? He said they were so flabbergasted, they couldn't speak. I mean, it was like, huh? What happened? And somebody started, and he said within a few minutes, the whole, this grievance, this complaining, the whole atmosphere changed. Mm-hmm. And people thought of whatever went well. And then it was really a fraction of the whole thing that didn't. And so I think asking good questions is a very, very big tool.
So Gertraud, I'm wondering, and Sam, I know you just had something, but I'm wondering if you can lead us in a close that incorporates that idea.
You mean to ask a question?
Or maybe we come up with questions that we have for each other that we walk away from. I don't know, just, I love that idea of and I feel the power in it. And maybe we can co-create together a close that uses that kind of appreciative inquiry and the power of the question that you carry so beautifully.
Maybe it would be, what question would you like to ask yourself to take something out of this conversation? What question would that be to have an impact, a positive impact on your ongoing, I don't know, for the day, the next day? For us, it's evening. So what would be a question that would inspire you? What the answer would inspire you?
Okay, yes. So how can I and we be more connected in our hearts, our heads, and our hands? How can I and we be more connected in what we feel, what we think, and what we do?
So Tammy, when you invited that and I was listening to Gertraud, I had 2 thoughts. But now that you actually had yours, I have 3 thoughts now. But let me go in order. One is questions, Gertraud. Direct where the visibility goes, the attention goes. So that's a sense shining the light on things, right? So questions shine light on issues and bring people's attention, people's creativity, people's problem solving, people's imagination to it. And I think that's power. The second was the questions you were asking are 2 out of the 4 questions that Agile takes as part of every retrospective. The questions in Agile, and I won't go into this in detail, are what's working, what's not working, what should we stop doing, what should we start doing differently, and most importantly, I think the fourth question is, what do we not yet understand, but we'll just leave till next time? Because it keeps you from trying to solve all problems at one time. So if you can take question 3 and say, what should we just do differently? And just pick off 1, 2, or 3 small things that you know you can do differently. And then just leave the rest. Then that is an agile way that allows you to move quickly, as opposed to just being bogged down by all of the questions. And then the third thought that came to mind when Tammy was talking was, there's this notion I've heard in other circles, particularly the Tantra community, which is full chakra connection or full chakra meaning. So you've hit at least 3 of them, Tammy. I was just wondering if we might extend that to all 7 or all 8, if you believe in the 8th. And trying to figure out what that means.
12.
Or 12. Yeah. I haven't heard about the 9, 10, 11, or 12 yet. But, I'm only possibly 7 or 8. But I won't go into depth in that. That's just where your question led my mind. So those are the 3 thoughts I just thought I'd close with.
And what's your question?
My question?
Yeah, how Gertraud was sort of leading us in this close. What is the question that you'll hold in your heart over the next day?
How can this turn into the community of impact? I'm not going to say any more because that's another conversation.
Yes. Yes.
Gertraud, did you want to share your question?
Yeah, I was listening, so I need another half minute to come up with my own. Yeah, I think it's more practical. Where and how can I make a positive impact? So, like ongoing in situations, with people. Yeah. So.
Beautiful. Thank you all. This has been really inspiring. And I feel like every time we meet, there's this looseness to our format but I feel like we're getting there. We're getting that place where we're really present and really showing up and really sharing in the way that we need to. And I just, one of the recent conversations with Anna, where we were talking about that we don't want to hurt the baby. There's a baby here. And we don't want to hurt the baby. I feel like today we just nourished and fed the baby. And so I really am deeply grateful to both of you for being here.
And because of some of the things that I was evocatively saying, I think you also changed the diaper a little bit too. So thank you, Dan.
Do you have 3 more minutes? I would like, I just do it on the fly, but I would like to share with you what we came up with in our book about what is appreciation.
Yes.
And I would like to translate it to you. So it's a premiere in English. So this book that I wrote, or we wrote as 3, and we really deeply went into what is appreciation, and saying appreciation as basis for us, for being, and for businesses. And if you have a few more minutes, I would try to translate it on the fly. while reading it in German.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Appreciation starts with a clear view on what is and the ability to see our automatic focusing on mistakes and weaknesses. Appreciation is ready to let go of the Bedeutung. Oh, sometimes my English. To see what that means for our own viewpoint and for our favorite point of view. So to let go of that meaning for our own viewpoint. And appreciation is a stance, wohlwollend, it's a well-meaning stance for ourselves and for life itself. It is the consequent, it's the straight view on the good that's there, and it encompasses the willingness to see in all aspects of life, to see a growing a step for growth, and to speak that out. Appreciation gives us, through focusing on a desired future already now, or in the now, the feeling and the experience of this quality of this future, and gives us in the now the realm of real possibility of action, or something like that. So sorry, it's not a good English, but I just try to.
Thank you. I mean, it really is such a heartbeat of what I have felt into this practice that we're co-designing together. So I'm just so grateful, Gertraud, that you came in on the last day and injected what you did, and that there's such a deep alignment there. It really has deeply nourished me, having you show up and bring your gifts, and thank you for thank you for sharing that too. I know it's hard to kind of translate in real time. I only have one language, but I could feel those. I can feel those pieces as you were sharing. So thank you for that.
Gertraud, it might be good to invite you to do a separate session on just that notion or that book, if you'd like.
Yeah, I would love to. We created a streetlight model to work with on a daily basis, like people that are constantly in survival mode, or like Mr. Trump is, like when you always feel as if life was an enemy. And so you see everything around you, you're just these reflexes, like like you're always on survival. And you only work with your strength brain. you don't have the other parts of the brain functioning really well. And then the intermediate, the yellow is, and what you said about the media, Sam, was like, this is also ingrained in our history, in our evolution, that we see what's not working better than we see what's working. Because like when the saber-toothed tiger was around, you had to see if there were footprints, if there was a broken
twig,
branch, or something like that. So, or you hear something that's different. So it's not immediate survival, but it's in order to survive. You have to be very careful to see all the signs that what's not working, what could be dangerous. And so I think the media is playing to this, what's part of our nature. And coming to green, it's about letting go and having the whole system work, the whole both sides of the brain, coherence and body, belly, heart, and head in coherence. And this is also part of us, but we don't remember it because we just enjoy when it's good. When we sit around the campfire and we have guardians around and no danger, but we don't remember it because it's not important for survival. Mm. And how can we go there? How can we be in green
more?
Yeah, on a regular basis. Because we are thrown into always looking for what's not working. This is biology, it's normal. So I think it needs effort to go in these safe places, to create those safe places in which we can really work in coherence and collaboration.
Yes.
So could it be asked in a different way? How could we take that green mode or that thriving mode and make that part of our autonomic system?
Part of our what?
Our autonomic system, the parts that are just driven by the reptilian brain, the yellow brain, just somewhere in the back, and that there's needs to be another front cortex, a virtual new front cortex derived. Because I think we're almost acknowledging that it is crucial to the survival of our species that we develop these skills.
It's a decision. It's a decision that's in yellow, you're more on your limbic system. And it's a decision because in red, you have adrenaline. This is only adrenaline. So you just run or punch or just pretend you're not there. In yellow, you have adrenaline and oxytocin alike. And oxytocin is the bonding hormone. It's what mothers need for giving birth and giving milk. So this is for relationships and bonding within your group, or with strangers if you feel safe enough. And if you in yellow, you have to decide whether you go with the adrenaline and just lonesome rider and go towards survival mode, or you go with the oxytocin, asking for help people. So it's really a decision. Mm-hmm. And Kelly McGonigal, I don't know if you know her, she is a professor, and she's talking about a lot of those things, and how does brain research give you things for your daily life. And he said they have done research that the stress is not the problem. You don't die of stress, but what you make it mean. So if you make stress your friend, then your survival rate is a lot higher than if you make stress your enemy. Mm-hmm. And if you don't connect with people, you die more likely than if you don't. No, vice versa. Sorry.
Yes.
So Gertraud, I do invite you to do that session because it sounds already rich. And I know one of my friends, Sanok Lee, I think I'd like to invite her to that section because she's from UC San Francisco. She's a neurophysiologist, and I think would like to engage with you in some of those conversations also.
Yeah. I would love to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And Sam, you sent me a lot of stuff, and I was like overwhelmed. So when I 10, from asana, and there were so many things coming in, and I just need to walk my way through.
Or you can turn off those notifications, by the way. Those are not mandatory,
Okay. I just didn't. I registered, but I still need to know what it is and how I can use it and things like that.
Part of us learning how to use our tools and letting our tools help us rather than hinder us. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, we can do some more one-on-one if you'd like help around any of that.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you know, thank you. And it still needs something from me.
Du kannst mit meinem Deutsch helfen.
Oh, yeah, gerne. I'm impressed.
Okay, just a little bit.
Okay, so I would love to just talk a little bit about the process. Today's conversation, for example, has been deeply rich with a bunch of different segments that are almost standalone ones. Is because we had these different transitions into different parts of the conversation. So Sam, I gave Sam the host capacity today because I knew that I might have to step out. And so Sam, one of the things that I've been noticing and putting the pieces up is I would like help from my teammates to be able to write the synopsis and to name it, right? So maybe before we leave, we can name this one together. And I don't have the capacity to write the synopsis, and maybe you feel good about that, Sam. But if maybe Gertraud, you wanted to do a little synopsis, because Sam already has the work of putting it up.
When you tell me what a synopsis is?
Little overview as to what we talked about today.
Words that might be drawing people to watch this video or to understand what happened.
Yeah.
And you Sam, put it in the Facebook group of the our Facebook group, yeah.
As well as it's we upload this to a playlist so that they're all together as well, and so Sam will be putting this one on his YouTube, right? And then he'll be adding it to the playlist and posting it to the group. So there's a little write-up that goes on YouTube. So there's that. And that can be the same as whatever is posted on Facebook as well, but it could also be different. But it's really useful to have different people's views on what actually happened, and to make that piece collaborative. So I'm just inviting us to collaborate on that and to encourage other people too. But the other piece is, Sam, is that this is maybe some of our folks that are here would feel like grabbing little bits out of this if they wanted to create a shorter segment that was just one of the pieces, one of the conversations that we talked about. That can also be useful, because I'm just recognizing that, and this has always been a challenge with this work, is that these are longer pieces. And not everyone has the capacity or ability to be able to watch the whole thing. Some people will get a lot of value out of that. But I think that finding ways to make the information more accessible, so synopses, blogs, point form things that we decided, all of these things are helpful to be able to extend the work into our community so that we can all learn how to use these opportunities of heart connection and sharing in real time to be something that's useful as a practice for each of our work as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to put those pieces to words to inspire us to feel into what that's going to look like for our community.
Thanks, Tammy. I'll have to find those instructions about how to add to your playlist, but I'll at least get it posted up to YouTube, and then we can do the rest of it.
Great. I'll post the collaboration link on the Facebook page, so anybody else that's also creating videos can add it to the playlist.
Yep. Good.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you. Thank you both so much.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Invite. The unexpected invite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Till next time.
Until next time.